Okay, I think we might be live. How's everyone doing out there? I'm going to assume this is live. Um, okay. Hi everybody. I've never done a stream before, so I don't know if anyone will um, watch this at all. But you got to have a first one at some point, right? Um, so here we are. Um, I actually already did this once and it didn't work. So, but I think it's working this time. So I am Tom Fukuloro. I'm the editor of Seattle Bike Blog, and I just I wanted to check in with everyone and see how everyone's doing. And you're my community, and I think that it's important right now that everyone checks in with their community and finds new ways to connect. And so I was thinking, live streaming could be a way that that works. I think that it's not something that I have any experience with, but what better time to learn, right? So, I just wanted to say, uh, kind of open the doors here to all of you. I think there's one person watching. Hi. um, Wanted to kind of create this as a potential option for a way for the community to get together and um, talk about what's going on and check in on each other and I don't know, maybe have some fun. Right now is a really weird time, and it's kind of strange to talk about biking right now, and I understand that. I'm feeling that a lot, but at the same time, biking is one of the only things that we can do as a community. So it seems important also, as a way to get outside and take care of yourself. Um, it's one of the only things that you can responsibly do that stretches your legs and lets you adventure and see the world. Um, and so that's cool. It's obviously important. It's the the day to day work of the blog is obviously changing. Uh, the city is still doing construction work, so I will still have stories, about that as it comes up. But so much of what the blog does is about the bike community. That's people, meeting together to talk about how to make the city better for biking, or people getting together to, go on, ride bikes and have fun, or so much of that we can't do anymore. So I'm also interested in, kind of experimenting, hearing from readers who might have ideas about what we can do to stay connected and connect in new and interesting ways that don't involve physically connecting. How do we um, how do you encourage and help someone get started biking if they just need a way to get out of, and get some exercise just like we all do. Um, but you can't necessarily go on a bike ride with them, which is the best way to teach someone how to bike. So it's confusing. It's hard. It's but you know I think as a bike community we've been getting ready for this. We've been training for this. We just didn't know it. We've spent so much time thinking about what does it look like when a space feels comfortable for biking. We've spent so much time thinking about um, the power and potential of biking, and uh, now is the time when we really need it. Not necessarily, it might. I'm sure bikes are serving a vital role. Also, I mean, they're helping people get around the city uh, without using transit, which unfortunately I understand is people are avoiding, and it makes sense to avoid transit right now, which is like hurts my heart so much to say that. Um, that's another topic for another day. Is what happens to transit now? Because transit is such a desperately vital part of our society, and we need it. And oh, it is going to be hurting. Um, I think we're going to need a really big transit bailout at some point here, down the road. You know, this is like one of those like things that's there's the immediate challenges, and this isn't one of those. But it's going to be a huge one later, and just get that on people's radar to start thinking about that. Uh, it's really weird times ahead. Transit's in a lot of transit has never been tested this way. Let's put it that way. Not in the modern era. Um, but in the meantime, you know, biking is, you know, very affordable, especially if you already have a bike. And people need that more than ever, an affordable way to get around. Um, and biking is a way to, you know, socially responsible, you know, especially if you're avoiding groups and crowds, then, you know, it's a way to get out and get fresh air and get exercise and, you know, escape a little bit from the world, and the news cycle, uh, while still being, responsible. There's not a lot of options to do that. You know, like I think people used to do sports that way. People, you know, like rec leagues are canceled. You know, going out to sporting events is canceled. Going to, you know, cycling races are being canceled. Cycling events are being canceled. Like all these escapes that people used to have are gone. But you know, you can still bike on your own. You know, hit the open road and just adventure, and you know, it's a very powerful experience to bike right now. I think I found, you know, it's you head out and you it's important to remember that the world is still out there, and their city is still out there, and the mountain is still there. You know, Puget Sound is still there, Lake Washington is still there. Um, the birds are still there. In fact, the birds are really loud right now because the highway is more quiet and there's fewer airplanes, and it's kind of very, very surreal feeling to go out and just bike around and the streets are so empty and, comparatively empty, and it's weird, but I think it's very healthy for you because, um, is don't don't forget to take care of your own mental health. And I know for a lot of you, you know, it is for me that biking is a huge part of that. And yeah, you know, stay safe, be responsible, of course. You know, don't don't even spend any time in a crowd. You know, like if the trail is crowded, bike on the street. Um, you know, that's that kind of uh, that's all necessary. Um, you know, your neighborhood streets are wide open right now. They're actually a pretty good option, and it's kind of one of my favorite things to do anyway. Um, you know, if I just need to get out, you know, I'm feeling antsy. I've been sitting looking at a computer too long. You know, sometimes I'll just hop on a bike, and I don't have a destination in mind, and I just start biking down you know, bike down the street, and then as soon as I get to a street that I've never been on, or that looks interesting, I turn, and then I bike until I see another street I've never been on, or looks interesting, and then I turn, and you just kind of keep doing that for as long as you want, and then end up in the middle of who knows where, and then challenge yourself to get home, and challenge yourself to not use a map. That's another thing I really like doing. You know, it's sort of test your navigation skills, and I've found so many of my favorite bike routes that I use all the time doing this because, you know, so many of my favorite bike routes are just these weird, quirky little streets that, you know, there's no reason why they would have been marked on a bike map necessarily, but I just enjoy them. You know, sometimes my bike route is based around like, oh, I really like that one house with that awesome garden, and it's worth, you know, I'll go out of my way to go see that garden just because it's pleasant. Things like that. So there's a lot to discover. The city is never ceases to amaze me and surprise me. with how much it has to offer. Um, and so, this is, I really recommend um, cause making that part of your self care plan. Let's put it that way. Um, I think it's also important right now for bike communities to be thinking about, how are we going to organize and stay connected through all of this. I think it's really great if you found online spaces like the video before this, the video that we posted this morning, talking to Martina at Swift Industries about the Swift Social Distance Cycling Club, is awesome. I love that. It's amazing. Um, I want everyone to also think about people who normally show up to your meetings or your bike events or whatever who aren't in those digital spaces, and maybe try to find a way to reach out to them personally. Maybe they're not tech savvy, or maybe they just don't use whatever service you all are on. And reach out and make sure that people know how to get connected. Be patient with people who aren't tech savvy, and try to see if you can get them to come along to whatever confusing platform you're using. Now is a really good time to make sure you're not, that everyone knows that you remember them and that you're thinking about them and that you're inviting them into whatever it is, whatever space you're creating. And then of course, I think it's okay to, if you find yourself spending a lot of time in those social online spaces, I think that's healthy right now. I think we've been so ingrained to think that, spending too much time on, Facebook or YouTube streams or, Strava groups or whatever, like that's a waste of time. And I think right now that is not a waste of time. That's important work because it's important that our community stays together. That's the weird thing about this pandemic is, every emergency planner, and every emergency plan and all everything that we've done to get ready for, disasters of unknown uh, type, I guess. They all say the same thing, which is that the thing that gets people through a disaster or an emergency is their community. Um, knowing your neighbors, knowing to check in on others, and others knowing to check in on you, and sharing resources and sharing knowledge and helping each other out however is needed is how we get through disasters. And right now, this disaster is unique in that it has specifically destroyed how we get together and how our community meets. So that's why it's really important to make sure when we're rebuilding these digital communities that you're bringing everyone along, and people aren't getting left behind. And I know it seems like maybe it's not so important that everyone in your cycling group is on the same online space, but I think it's kind of important right now to at least they know that you're there, and how to get on, things like that maybe seem trivial. I think aren't really trivial right now. Take care of each other. Be conscious of it, and beyond that, also really be thinking about your community organizations, your food banks, how you can help because they're really hurting. A lot of food bank donations come from grocery stores. Things that are overstocked or aren't expired yet but are getting older. That's a lot of what goes to food banks. And right now we're all cleaning the grocery stores clean, and that means that's going to trickle down to food banks, or specifically it's not going to trickle down to food banks. So they really need your help. So maybe if you're going to go do a huge grocery store buy, maybe buy a little extra and drop it off at the food bank, and check in to see what they need. They might need money. They might need volunteer time. I don't actually know. I think every food bank right now is scrambling to figure out how they can keep serving people, even though the way that they used to do things probably isn't going to work anymore. Like having lots of people group in and get food all at the same time is not how they can probably operate right now. So I think that checking in and seeing how you can be helpful there is really important. Check in on Real Change has started a vendor fund because, for obvious reasons, Real Change vendors, their income is dried up. There's less foot traffic, which is how they sell papers, and also people are resistant to having close contact with strangers, which is also what we're supposed to be doing. And unfortunately, that's how Real Change vendors make money. So, if you see a Real Change vendor and you can buy a paper from them and, you know, maintain social distance as much as possible, I think it's still a good thing to do. But also check out the Real Change Vendor Fund to kind of just contribute to make up for some of that loss of income. And yeah, stay plugged in with your community. I think one thing that your bike community, whatever that looks like for you, can do is to keep each other informed about opportunities for helping out in other ways. Mutual aid. We're going to rely on each other a lot. Our government is not competent right now. I think that the city, the county, and the state are doing a pretty good job, but our federal government is obviously completely incompetent and irresponsible, and a lot of how we get through this is going to be us. So that's what I mean, like spending time developing and growing and fostering an online community of people who you used to hang out with in person is, I think, important right now. I would consider that important work. You're not wasting your time. It's and yeah, the other thing I wanted out of this stream, most of this was just for me to figure out how this works. And you got to have a first stream somehow, so here's the first stream. I also wanted to, get your ideas of how Seattle Bike Blog can help foster community or find, have fun. I think it's okay to have fun right now. So maybe if there's some ways to have fun, if we can play games or something as a community, I'm open to that. I think that'd be fun. I'm open to doing more streams if you have any ideas for conversation. I think you should expect to see more video content, especially a lot more like Skype video chat interviews with people. I think it's important to check in on how everyone's doing, how are people adapting, things like that. So I'm planning to do that a lot more. And, of course, I'm going to continue posting on the blog. That won't change. But I'm also open to like totally different ideas. So I don't know what that looks like. But I'm open to ideas. I would not be surprised if you see something that has nothing to do with bikes on this blog. Don't be surprised, because I think I'm letting myself go off script right now. So I think that makes sense in this moment. That I think you should probably. I'm hoping to talk more about independent journalism, because we're going to face a journalism crisis. The Stranger firing most of its staff is very troubling. And that's just the beginning. Like, the Stranger's not going to be the only one hurting right now. So I'll probably talk a lot about that, because this is what I do. Seattle Bike Blog is 100% independent, supported by readers through the Reader Supporter Program, and by local businesses that advertise. And local businesses are hurting. I fully expect that some advertisers will pull ads, and I'm getting ready for that. And that's obviously understandable right now. Everyone's going to hurt, and I don't expect Seattle Bike Blog to be immune from that. But I appreciate your support. If you can continue supporting, that would be really good for me. But if you need the money, please, pull your subscription. It's fine. If you need it, take care of yourself. We're all going to get through this, and we're all going to do what we need to do to get through this. And you should be no exception. I will be no exception. Yeah, I just want to say I love you all. And I want to hear your ideas, and I want this to be the beginning of something. figuring out how we can use online tools to stay connected and share resources and share fun ideas and laugh and cry and whatever we need to do. I we are ready for this. It's just we've got a baseline of support that we've built up, and now is the time to call on it, I guess. So so yeah, let me know if you have any ideas. Tom at seattlebikeblog.com. SEA Bike Blog on Twitter. Though honestly, if you're not on Twitter, now's not the time to join. It's a pretty depressing place. Um, Facebook, YouTube comments work. Yeah, any way that feels good for you to reach out, please reach out with your ideas. And yeah, everyone take care, and I'll be back live. Be looking for it. All right, thanks.